You ready? Give me time today. Good evening, and I'd like to call the City of Oldsmar City Council meeting of Tuesday, May 2nd to order. If you'll please rise for our invocation and our pledge that will be led by our City Attorney, Mr. Tom Trask.
Our Heavenly Father, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, and to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize the responsibility to the past and the future, as well as the rights and needs of both the individual and our community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. This we pray.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and once again, welcome. Our first item on tonight's agenda is our Citizens Open Forum. We only have a couple of rules that you state your name and address clearly for the record. You keep it to no more than 5 minutes, and you can address items that are on the agenda for tonight, but if they are public hearing items, which are items 9, 10, and 11, we ask that you hold those comments until such time as we get to that. Having said that, anybody on this side would like to address the council? Perfect. Anybody on this side? Yes.
Mayor Beavis, council members, my name is Mary Reba. My address is protected by statute, and I was going to announce to the citizens of Oldsmar that I am the campaign coordinator for Ed Hooper, who is running for Florida State Senate District 16, and he is having an open forum candidate meet and greet tomorrow night at Mugs and Jugs on US 19 in Tarpon Springs from 5 to 7:30 p.m. And we would love for the residents of Oldsmar to come out and meet him and ask any questions and find out about his campaign and what he can do for them in the state Senate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I will
you.
be there. Anybody else like to address the council? Anybody in the room? Seeing no one, we'll close the citizens. Somebody want to speak? Yeah? Ma'am.
Hi, good evening, Council. I'm Susan Oliver, 302 Washington. And first of all, thank you so much for sponsoring Derby Night. That's not why I'm here tonight, though. Over the last few months in September, I've kind of floated some questions by some of you and some of my neighbors, because I was very excited that someone was building behind me, and that old dilapidated house got torn down on Fairfield, and then all the trees got torn down and they were going to build. But I got a letter delivered to me by my son from the new owner saying that my fence was encroaching on our property. Why this is an Oldsmar issue is that I moved my fence, and then after I purchased my home in November and had a survey done to purchase the home in October, she presented me with her own personal survey saying once again my fence was encroaching on her property by about 6 inches in one of the corners, and that she was going to tear my fence down. She's also cut down the fence of one of my neighbors that has lived there for over 20, 30 years. Well, I'll get my 3 minutes and then you can add yours. He actually raises turtles and has for years and years, and they were aware of it. He comes home to find the fence has been cut down at the posts. The other good neighbor, who is a manager at McDonald's, lived there generations, had to pay to have a fence replaced because of this new survey that she got. She resurveyed the whole block. I pulled the plans a couple of months ago for the house. It's interesting that it has a 3-car garage. I did some research on the new owners. My feeling is that it perhaps is going to be rental apartments. According to the way that the property is zoned, it would be okay to have a 3 apartment type complex in my neighborhood. I'd like for the council to maybe relook at zoning, because these types of things, if they start happening in Oldsmar, are definitely what I, as a resident, do not want to see happen to Oldsmar. And the way the city, I don't know what they can do about when a neighbor moves in and starts doing these kinds of things, but I've received 3 letters from this person, and at this point, I feel harassed, and the project is definitely something that's in question.
You know anything about it?
I know a little bit about it. I don't think you can have 3 units there. I think it's, you could perhaps have a garage apartment or something. On the boundary disputes, I don't think that's, our issue. It's between the property owners, and the other things about, if you destroy someone else's property, that might be something that requires
Sheriff's Department?
the sheriff's office. But we would not be the arbitrator or the settler of a boundary dispute between 2 or more property owners.
What about how do we clarify the number of units or what she's doing and get an answer for that? Is that a?
Well, we could definitely answer that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just, I don't have the land available.
No, I know
in my
you-
head,
no,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you could do 3 units on 1 lot there.
Okay.
Bruce and I had a long discussion on this way, and we don't.
Is your mic on?
We can't hear you, Devin.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
This your first meeting?
Yes. Well, sometimes you walk around and turn mine off so nobody will hear me.
Get going, I might shut it off again.
We don't agree on this, but, and I have contacted Tom on it because he may not agree also, but it's a strange situation. And I would ask also Tom to, because he is our attorney, to ask Tom to comment on it. But it was amazing to me that how can you issue, now the city manager has described his definition of this, and I accept. Usually I'm always right, but sometimes he's right. Not too often, but sometimes he is. To me it seems strange to issue a permit for a building of a house when you know that the neighbor's permit is in conflict. They
You're
knew.
assuming we knew that first off the bat. You've assumed a lot. Oh, go ahead, I interrupted you.
Thank you. Yeah, well, you interrupted me a lot during our conversation too, but that's okay. Well, yes, I do know, because I talked to some of the planning people, and they knew that the permit was in a conflict with another permit. Now, I know what happened, but if somebody walked in and said, wait a minute, I got a 20-year-old survey here, and then I turn around and have 2 more surveys made at $400 a piece, and it shows that my survey stake is right. It's right here, and it's been here for 20 years. And then this person who's going to build a house gave the other people next to him some problems, and on the other people that had a problem with this, their survey concrete is right there. It's been there for 40 years. So it just seems that somehow the city would have a responsibility, and the city manager doesn't agree with me. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong on this. But how can you give a permit for a house to be built when you know that the neighbor that brings in his survey that's 20 years old and says, well, wait a minute, what's wrong with my survey? And that's the question I would like to have the city attorney address tonight. And we have another problem. and it's going to happen, it happened with her property, is that if you do your survey from State Street, you're going to get the one survey. If you do a survey starting at Buckingham, you're going to have a problem. I'm going to ask this question. Because of that, does the city have a responsibility there? Now, I understand how these people feel. I would be upset if somebody come down and tore my fence down and said, well, I own it. Well, I got a survey that says you don't own it. Well, I got a survey that I do own it. That is a confusing conflict. And I don't know, see, I don't know what the city's responsibility is. I agree with Bruce to this point that it's going to be a court problem, but it's going to be a court problem between two neighbors. But what if the court problem ends up with the city of Oldsmar on a third one? And that's my problem.
All right, so just to give you a little bit of, more information. I mean, I don't know, I don't remember the specifics of, this particular case, but obviously the city is not in the business of settling civil disputes between two property owners. I got that.
I understand that.
Okay, and what would happen is there would need to be a lawsuit brought in the circuit court. It would be a boundary line dispute action. I litigated one of these for a property owner in Tarpon Springs where each property owner was claiming a 20-foot slice down through on the edges of each of their property. And one property owner is saying that I did my survey from Anclote Bridge south, and the other one is saying that I did it from Tarpon Avenue north, and they overlapped. And so a judge has basically to make the determination which is controlling and which is not, which is the better evidence. But that doesn't have anything to do with the city. When they come into the city, they need to prove ownership of the property, and we need to feel comfortable with the survey that they've given us. And then we make a determination whether we're going to issue a building permit based upon the information provided to us. Now, in a worst-case scenario, we issue a permit and a building is built, and the property owner now encroaches into the next-door neighbor's property. Well, then that's, again, an issue where the court is going to have to determine, are we going to require the first property owner to remove the building or a portion of the building? Or is there going to be some type of settlement where one property owner sells to the other to make up the difference? Or is there going to be a settlement? That's all outside what we do here at the city. And so I would hope that if this dispute is serious enough that they would seek court intervention now. But we can't be the mediator or the arbitrator of that.
Well, I know that I understand, but somehow is the city not responsible for having two different types of points to start the survey?
As long as they're both valid benchmarks, I don't think.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line is the benchmarks that they work off of. There may be some surveyor liability, but I don't see city liability.
Okay.
So,
Wouldn't from a law enforcement
I was going to
standpoint,
ask the sheriff's
right,
department
you know, if somebody is suddenly making a claim that your fence is on my yard, of course, it's been there for 20 years, takes it upon themselves to cut it down, and the deputy's called, what would the response? I'm putting you on the spot.
I was going to.
Come on up.
I'm glad it's him instead of me because I was going to do it.
See,
Yeah, well.
And if you don't have the
it's a
answer, that's
fair
fine,
question,
but.
see, that's what I would have done.
Because I would be
would've-
pulling out my
I'd have
survey
called
and
the
going,
deputy.
officer,
Yeah.
look,
It's a lot like custody issue, and I'm not an expert. Custody issue, we go out and we don't make the decision. That's what we have judges for. It becomes a civil action. Same thing with chopping down the fence. One says they're right, the other one says they're right. All we do is collect the information, and then to my knowledge, the two people involved, the two homeowners, will have to take it to court to figure out whose property is whose.
so there wouldn't be
Wouldn't be like I come
destruction
out.
of
It wouldn't be like I
private
would come out and arrest you because you tore down the fence. Because you, in good faith, I'm assuming because of your survey, this is on my property.
even if the other homeowner was there with their survey. That,
Then again, it comes to a.
But then that puts you
I am not.
a judge and jury. You're not a judge
I'm not
and jury.
qualified to make that decision. They don't pay me enough to make that decision. That's where the attorneys, the judge, he makes the decision.
got it.
So there would not be.
All you can do is advise them.
There would be no crime. There would be really no crime because there was no I mean,
No criminal
it
intent.
kind of is, but it's not. I actually shouldn't even say that on the record. I mean, it's not. Because
But one of them is wrong, we just don't know who.
one of them's wrong, or maybe they're both wrong, maybe they're both right. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't. It's,
That's what I come in. If there's a benchmark on Buckingham and a benchmark on State Street, and then they get in the middle,
Well, I mean, that's what he's saying. Tom said that you came from two different directions. If they're valid benchmarks, nobody's acting,
If it's a meets and bounds description, that comes into play more often, but if it is, lots 1 and lot 2, the lot lines would just shift, and so it must be a meets and bounds issue.
but that wouldn't be the city's problem.
no.
No.
Okay.
Our 3 minutes are up. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Well, it's,
Go ahead.
I am the property owner whose fence was torn
Introduce
down.
yourself and your
Okay,
address.
my name is Priscilla Murphy. My address is 301 Fairfield Street. Again, our fence was cut down. She had a first survey where we were pretty much in agreement, an inch here, inch there. We fixed what we could. Then magically, she got another survey, and she needed 1.5 feet, and that's what she got. All right? So we said, well, we have this old one. And she said, no, you need to cut it down. We got a new survey, had to pay for it. It came out just like our old one. All right, so there's 2 surveys of ours. The first one she got from the survey company, all the same. She still went ahead and chopped everything down. We gave our new survey to the planning department in Oldsmar. And again, why are they issuing a permit? She's going to start pouring concrete. She's encroaching on my property. Does that mean I can go on her property because I have a valid survey and I can take whatever I want on that? It's 1.5 feet.
Yeah, but if you're talking setbacks and things like that.
I know, but here it is. If my survey is valid and I decide I want to put my fence back up where it should be, and I put it up there, she'll tear it down again, and she's vandalizing again. We did a report with the sheriff's office. The Dunedin department came out and did a report. We showed everything to it. There is a report here. He said all we can do, like he says, is report it. I've been a citizen of Oldsmar since 1986. Me and my husband, my daughter grew up here. They're moving back here. I just don't feel like somebody can come in and do something to this when the property was bought and sold 3 times with our fence there, and there was no complaints.
I understand.
Okay, I wish, I probably got other notes here. I don't know how much. I feel like a victim here, and they won't listen to reason. I gave them the survey. I gave the survey to the city planner. Why did they issue a permit until we get this fixed?
And this would be my suggestion. I think everybody's heard the city's stance on it, and you've heard the city attorney's stance, and you've heard the sheriff's department. I know down there it says mayor, but I'm going to play attorney for a second. Is that okay? But my suggestion would be, that you consult a real estate attorney.
That'll cost me a lot of money I don't have.
I understand that, but I
I
mean, that
thought
would be.
that you guys were
would that
supposed to
not-
represent citizens of Oldsmar.
Yeah, I mean, but we can't get into between disputes between landowners.
But if you have a survey, and how can you
It's
not
got to
look
be,
at all
it's got to
of
be
them?
resolved in court regardless. It's unfortunate, but that's,
So they can get away with what they want because they have more money than we do.
I'm not saying anybody's getting away with anything, but somebody has to
She
determine who's.
tore down my fence.
I understand.
She had no right to touch my property. I think, and why can't she even be arrested for tearing down my fence? That's vandalism. If a punk kid had done that, he would have been arrested and taken to jail.
Yeah, but if, again, as you heard the sheriff's department, if she has what she assumes to be a valid survey, I'm not getting into question whether she had it resurveyed, I understand that, but if she had something that indicated that she thought she was in the right,
I'm really disappointed.
well, I'm not sure what you would want us to do in this case.
I don't see why somebody can't look at all the surveys and decide this is where the line is. Oldsmar needs to have better points. If this kind of stuff from one end to the other,
It's unfortunate that it happens, but a lot of these benchmarks are back in the 1920s that are registered.
so
And
why can't you refix them? I mean,
that's
why-
not, we're not in the business of refixing benchmarks. That's not,
That's done by the state.
I know.
the state is the one that issues the benchmarks and validates the benchmarks.
So a survey is not valid because you can have a survey now and 10 years from now, how different when I thought surveys were surveys and permanent.
Typically they are, but
So-
they're typically they are, but you heard the example that our city attorney gave, and that, it depends on which benchmark you come off of. that there could be a discrepancy, you know, what is it, 1926 and the 26 NGVD and the, you know, there's different.
That sounds right.
The datum, 1926, and datum changed, and typically that has to do with vertical, but, you know.
All right, one other point. There is a foot on the other side of her property line that the city could have given to her, and that might have resolved all the problems. She needed X amount of feet, and that's why she had the resurvey to where she got X amount of feet. And there's in between 303 and 305 is 1 foot that the city owns. I think and we tried to ask the planner, if they could just do something, give her that foot, then she probably would have left us alone.
And I can't speak to that.
I know you can't, but I'd like for you to do some research and find out if there's something else you could do to keep her happy and me happy.
Well, yeah, I mean,
And I
I
understand
can't
there's-
speak for the city, but I mean, we certainly can look into that, I assume. I don't know why we would own any 1 foot.
We offered to sell it to her. She didn't take us up on the offer.
Who would buy a foot of land?
Well, she is an abutting property owner.
Well, the problem with that is she ended up with it free, and I don't think that's right. She ended up with that foot free.
I've been paying taxes on that 1.5 feet since 1986. All right, who is responsible now for getting me a tax refund on that property?
Again, I think you need to, I would consult a real estate attorney. And I know, I understand it's a money issue, but if she's getting ready to make permanent structures, now's the time to do it before anything happens.
The city planner's office can't put it on hold until we get this resolved? Isn't that part of what you should be able to do, is just get it resolved? Don't let her do anything else until we
I'll default
resolve
to our
it?
city attorney for that, but I think if she's got valid information,
But if there's a dispute, I understand
I get
the
it.
dilemma. I mean, it is a dilemma, but I would think, I don't understand that. If there's a dispute with the survey, then
I would think it
The
has
person at
to.
risk is the property owner, not the city. So if the property owner wants to build that building, build that house, and they later have to move it, they're doing it at their own risk.
Well, she's doing the same thing to my neighbor behind me. It's
And to
like,
your- and to
she's
your
getting
point-
away with bullying.
And to your point, I could see that opening Pandora's box where all of a sudden I decide that I don't want you to build and I'm going to have a dispute and try and stop everything. I mean, at some point it needs to become a legal issue, so,
I guess so.
If you've met all the requirements, you get the permit.
yeah.
Well, if
If
she
you were the home owner and home builder, that's the way you'd want it, isn't it?
Yeah, I know if I had a survey that was a dispute with someone, only because I'm more prudent, I would probably go litigate it
That's
first to
right.
resolve it.
Yeah.
But
And
In a
this-
I would assume though,
In a perfect world.
which it surprises me to find out differently, if there's a known dispute, that we would still issue a permit.
well,
We have no reason to deny the permit.
okay, let me ask
Can we
you.
move this along? I mean,
Okay, and this will be my last question, or my last comment, because I agree with them. What if she comes in tomorrow and asks for a fence permit? Y'all gonna give it to them?
I'll have a valid survey on a different line. She ripped my survey stakes
But wait
out
a
of the
minute,
ground.
let them answer this question. If she wants to go in and get a fence permit tomorrow, can she be turned down?
If she meets the requirement, she'd get a permit.
Get the permit and build the fence?
And she'll rip it down again.
well, that's where I would probably involve the sheriff's department as
I'm
well.
really sorry, that's
Yeah.
horrible.
And I got to move this, this typically
know.
isn't
My
this is
time's up.
No, I know, but this typically isn't where we get into,
Okay.
you know, debates over items. And
All
I
right,
feel
well,
your
then-
pain, but it's
okay.
unfortunate that it's what it is. But if I would do something fairly quickly, whether it's get a permit for a fence or call the sheriff's department, or when they're putting the fence in, I mean, you might have the sheriff's department come out. I don't know if they would do that, but I would maybe have the sheriff's department there when the fence is being installed.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody else in the room? I think I've gone all the way around. Everybody good? We'll close the citizens' open forum. Next is the mayor's minute, a couple things that we're going to recap, and then some of the upcoming things. And these are some of the great things that we as council and me as mayor get to do. I was asked by an organization in North Pinellas County to go speak about Oldsmar and some of the things that we have done in the past and the growth that we see in the future. I think, you know, people are taking notice about the city of Oldsmar and what a great little sleepy city we are. So I enjoy when I get to go talk to groups about that. The Volunteer Appreciation Dinner, this is always a big event for all of us. I know, Eric, you got waylaid and drug off of a plane or something like that, didn't you? No.
Detroit.
Detroit of all places. Our volunteer appreciation, thank you to Kathy Horvath. By the way, Kathy is out today. She's visiting family in Dallas. And the city clerk's office for another outstanding volunteer appreciation dinner. Amazed. Our city has residents who have served so many years on our boards and committees, and I say this when I do it at the volunteer, and I'll say it here again, is that this city would not be what it is today if it weren't for all the volunteers that step forward to help us with our various boards, code enforcement, leisure services, and the like. So thanks again. I don't know if I'm right or not, but I think we have almost as many volunteers as we do employees, aren't we? About 100.
Probably do.
Probably about 140 volunteers. So thank you to them. And many of these are 10 and 20-year volunteers, even 30, I think. We Mean Business, something we always enjoy doing, the visit with the Upper Tampa Bay Chamber of Commerce and the city manager and myself. We visited Oldsmar Dentistry. We were talking about that earlier. DSC Sales, which is interesting. One of the things that we find when we go do these We Mean Businesses is that we never had any idea that these people are here, but they're up on Commerce. And if you ever go into a Publix or a CVS or a Walgreens and you're buying beach products, tanning lotions, inflatables for your kids, the beach chairs, the, what do you call those, the floaty tubey things, it all comes from that property right there in Oldsmar. And they have about a 60,000 square foot warehouse, and they're having to expand another 20,000. So all that, the fishing poles that are all right there, and it's kind of neat that it all comes right out of Oldsmar as a distribution. Saturday, it was a sad but glorious day to celebrate the life of Marie Orsello. Marie's family held a life celebration this past Saturday. Many wonderful stories about her were shared by staff and family members. Marie is certainly in a better place. Our thoughts and prayers to continue to be with her family. Al, you did a stupendous job, really, kind of summarizing her. She was a part-time receptionist for the city of Oldsmar, and I didn't get up and speak, but one of the things I always remember is whenever I come into City Hall and I've come down from the city clerk's office, and she was always there looking up at you and always wanted to go the extra mile. And as Al said, she took on extra work because she wanted to, not because she had to. So our thoughts and prayers are with their family, and she was a great person and a great asset to not only us, but to the city of Clearwater as well. So upcoming events, this is great. Another one that I get to do tomorrow. Nielsen called me and asked me, they're doing, honoring several students from Lato High School as part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. Some of them are seniors, but some of them are juniors, and the seniors, of course, are graduating, and they've been mentored by Nielsen Media folks for the past 2 years as Big Brothers and Big Sisters. So they asked me to come and speak about that, and Nielsen being a media firm, some of the things that they're being mentored on is media, and of course I've got 25 years in the media, so she thought it would be great if I could come. And so again, it's nice to be able to do these things for the kids in our community. This coming Friday is the 18th annual golf tournament, hitting the links this Friday at Landsbrook Golf Course. It's being put on by our Leisure Services Group. Have my clubs and foursome ready for this annual youth program fundraiser. Thanks to those who registered. It is sold out. I don't know how many we have, but somebody told me about 140. Does that sound about right? 140 registrants, so that's great. Youth dance recital Friday, May 12th, next Friday at Cypress Forest Rec Center. Spring recital with us, Masuda's Dancers, free for the family. Opal Youth Play Saturday the 13th, the following day at Cypress Forest Rec Center. Family-friendly production of their spring play, Aw Shucks. Free to attend. Also, happy Mother's Day in advance to all our Oldsmar moms. Those with us and those looking down upon us, wish you a happy Mother's Day. That wraps up the Mayor's Minute. And a half or two?
Mayor,
Yes.
I need to apologize to Marie's family. I went a week early. And I feel really bad about this because she was an incredible lady. Ann even told me, that it was past Saturday, and I went and I feel really, really bad because of my total screw up on this. She was a special person that had come to ask me for help and advice on something, and I am sad about that. I really feel bad.
And the little bit that I know her now, I know that she forgives you for that. If she knows you, she knows it, that it happens,
Yeah, I'm
so.
a screw up. May I say something else just real quick about you go out to these businesses. I know some of you people out there have false teeth. You may not want to admit it, because I've got some.
I'm not sure where this is going.
Wow, that's an
Brace
opening
yourselves.
line right there. It's gonna be good.
A lot of those false teeth are made right here in the city of Oldsmar.
Yeah, they are, right next to Lockheed Martin,
That's right.
back in there.
Is it night?
Yeah, we've been trying to get in there to find out about their operations,
Well,
so
do you have false teeth? That's why they don't want you. Because you don't have any.
I won't get into my teeth, but that's fine. So anyway, thank you. Next is our consent docket. We have a couple of items on there. Approve the minutes of the March 7th, 2017 City Council meeting. Next is authorize the city manager to advertise for bids for construction of the Lafayette Boulevard median opening. Third item, select preferred firm and authorize city manager to negotiate contract for multimodal transportation plan. The next item is approve the tentative agenda for the May 16th, 2017 City Council meeting. If nobody wishes to pull anything.
I do. Just for a short comment, pull 3.
I can let you sit over here if you want.
I'm not. I would like to
Pull item, what, 3?
3.
Okay, I need a motion to approve items 1, 2, and 4.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. What's your specifics
Well,
on
we're
item
going to
3?
talk about this a little later too. How much, are we paying a lot of money for this? Are we paying any money for this? Are we doing this on our own?
The recommendation is to select Kimley Horn as the preferred firm for the multimodal transportation master plan. There's $50,000 in the current year budget. We're not spending money tonight. You would just be authorizing us to negotiate a contract with them for the services.
Okay, you know how I feel about this. I think this is a total waste of money. Total waste of money, because we aren't going to, in a way, we're going to accomplish something. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're not going to accomplish anything about transportation that's just here in the city of Oldsmar. You aren't going to do a thing to Tampa Road. You're not going to do a thing to 580, and we got 11 miles of bicycle tracks now. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do with it?
I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know that that's the intent, is to actually make improvements, physical improvements.
Improvements to what?
Are you asking me or the other council members? I mean, I'll be happy to respond to it.
No.
I mean, this is one of the council's priorities for the current year.
I understand that.
And the purpose of the plan is to integrate the multimodal transportation part is automobile, pedestrian, bicycle, and transit, or mass transit, which today consists of buses, but hopefully somewhere down the road, I might not live to see it, but it would include rail. And another part of it that's important to Oldsmar is also truck traffic or freight movement, because we have, of course, a lot of commercial and industrial properties.
We're not going to accomplish a thing unless we have partners such as Pinellas County, Hillsborough County, maybe Pasco County, but we're not going to accomplish a thing here in the city of Oldsmar. Now, we may put up a plan, but that plan isn't going to go anywhere. I think we should save that money, and I got this in council comments, plus you got it up here. I got an article, part of the article right now. North Pinellas County has been, be nice, has been dumped on again. North Pinellas County has been dumped on again. Everything is for Clearwater South. Now, I don't care about the transportation in St. Petersburg, and I don't care about the transportation in Hillsborough County, because they won't get together with anybody else of any other county to do this thing right. Now, if Hillsborough and Pinellas finally come together with Pasco, especially Pinellas County finally realizes there's a northern Pinellas County. We are a northern Pinellas County. They don't even consider us anymore down there. This whole study they've been doing, this whole study is for Hillsborough, Central Pinellas, down south. And that's, to me, sucks. Do you know how rich northern Pinellas County is? You know how much money you keep giving down there? I know for a fact, 'cause I've been on the Pinellas Planning Council, and so have you. Do you know how much money has been spent on traffic for Hillsborough and Pinellas County? And I challenge anybody to tell me I'm wrong.
I differ with you, but
Millions of dollars.
I differ with you on that this isn't going to have any effect, so, but I'll leave it at that.
What kind of effects are going to have?
I mean, I think a lot of the things that we've done without, I don't want to drag this out, but without getting into great detail, I mean, I think a lot of the things, I mean, I think when we did the, what did we call that, where we came up with the transit locations with the library and the flea market, and, I mean, that got us on a map that has now become effective to make Oldsmar part of North County, and I just beg to
We are
differ.
part of North County.
But I mean, as far as the transit study goes, we are now.
Have you read the article?
Yeah, I've read the article.
Are you happy with the article?
Necessarily. I couldn't
happy?
agree with you more on the divide between
Okay.
North County and South County.
Here's the part that I want to talk about. Jack Litvala, Republican Clearwater, wants to create an agency, and it died.
I think it got resurrected.
Yep.
Well,
Got resurrected. It's long overdue.
Yeah.
They should all be dumped in one room.
Then I need to see the resurrection and what the resurrection is all about. We need to invite Jack here. Pinellas, and we had a long discussion, and I'll shut up so we can move the meeting quicker. Safety Harbor, Dunedin, Tarpon Springs, in the city of Oldsmar needs to stop being a stepchild of Pinellas County, and they need to listen to us. I don't know how we do this. We had a long discussion. I think our city manager could, and I'm sure he's tried. In the 4 cities, we need to get together and form our own union.
We need to elect more people from North County on the county commission.
And that's a difficult thing, and I can't.
Don't ever
A whole
do it.
other debate, but
that's a whole
I don't
other-
disagree with you. And the other thing that I would say to Councilman Member Beaverland is that I would agree with you that when we have that agreement negotiated and it comes back and what it's actually going to cost, we should discuss the merits of it.
Okay, I mean, I voiced my opinion. You know where I'm coming from.
And I say this before, I couldn't agree with you more, and without boring the audience more than they already are probably, but North County has a difficult time being represented in anything except when they want our money. And, you know, I went through the same struggles with the TDC, the Tourist Development Council, because if you exclude the city of Clearwater, because Clearwater is really Clearwater Beach, that's their namesake. So if you take that out, there's 23 municipalities, 4 of them are in North County and 19 of them are in South County. So we continually battle. Commissioner Dave Eggers says over and over and over again, and this applies to Greenlight, Pinellas, Transportation,
He
MPO.
understands.
And he says,
Yeah.
I feel like I need to stand at Gulf to Bay Boulevard and jump up and down and wave my hand. So we do have some people in place. I think the new director of Forward Pinellas, the MPO, I think he's on board to really look at the more regional thing. I really think there's finally some good forward momentum.
How many years I've heard that? Anyway.
Jerry, I could tell you, I could bore you all day long. I've been in engineering for 30 years, and we're no further along now with regional transportation than we were.
No, you're right. I mean, I think Jack's efforts, hopefully, they survive the rest of the session, which is almost over. But I think it got put back in a bill.
Well, I think
some
we should have
compromise.
Jack talk to us. Other than that, I don't want to hold us up anymore.
On this side.
That's what we're here for.
Yes, to discuss, that's fine. I need a motion for item 3.
So moved.
Second? Motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
Passes 3-1, thank you. Also, I just should note too that Gabby McGee is out as well. She's got a conflict. She had a conference, I think, a work session.
It was work-related.
Work-related, so.
Probably in Bora Bora or something.
No,
It's the best places to go for work.
she does a great job. She works for Cisco, and we're blessed that she's able to still continue to make time.
I'm not on Facebook, but I hear on Facebook, she's everywhere in the world.
Yeah, she is. So, yeah, so, next is the City of Oldsmar presentation to the winners of American Water Works Association, AWWA, Water Conservation Poster Contest. And if your parents or your kids are extra tired tonight, it's his fault down there that we kept them out so late.
See these kids, how wonderful it is to serve up here? You end up, we don't know anything.
The names?
Do you want to do these one at a time or all four? Okay, so we're doing our annual poster contest in honor of Drinking Water Week, and we have 4 out.
Can you explain kind of what the concept was and what we're doing?
The concept is water conservation, how to conserve water. And we went to the local elementary schools and asked for the students to submit posters that look like it was on a T-shirt. And I believe Ann is passing the posters for the council to see. We've made copies of the outstanding posters on bags as awards for each of the students. And there were 4 outstanding posters provided. The first one was from a first grader
Checking out the swag.
in Mrs. Papa Michael's class. Did I say that right? And that's Isabella Jackson. Would you like to come up and get your bag? Okay.
Stand right there. You want to do one? Yeah.
Turn your bag around so you can see the pretty artwork.
Show up the artwork. Stand right there and we'll get all up here. We'll do a group picture.
Okay, the next outstanding poster was a 5th grader, Kiara Johnson, from Miss Sarah's class.
Conserve water, save water before it is too late. Very nice. Congratulations.
Okay, the next outstanding poster was by Katie Horton in Mrs. Sarah's class.
Give her the right painting.
Very neat. Congratulations. Here. This one. Give you one.
Okay, and our 4th outstanding poster was by, I'm gonna try this, Essia Yusfi? Okay.
Nan, whenever these pictures are finished, why don't you have the mayor sign each one of them for these pictures?
I stand up. We'll do a group picture.
I don't know which way to go.
We'll be out in the audience before long.
Yep. Show your pretty artwork. Congratulations.
Don't forget to sign the photographs, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Next is the proclamation for Drink Water Week.
Top one.
The top one? I'll go ahead and read it. Drink Water Week. Whereas water is our most valuable natural resource, and whereas only tap water delivers public health protection, fire protection, support for our community, and the quality of life we enjoy, and whereas any measure of a successful society, low mortality rates, economic growth, and diversity, productivity, and public safety are in some way related to access to safe water, and whereas we are all stewards of the water infrastructure upon which future generations depend, and whereas each citizen of our city is called upon to help protect our water source waters from pollution, to practice water conservation, and to get involved in local water issues by getting to know their water. Now, therefore, I, Doug Beavis, the mayor of the city of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim the week of May 7th through 13th, 2017 as Drink Water Week in the city of Oldsmar, and call upon all citizens and businesses to help protect our precious resource, dated this, the second day of May 2017. Doug Beavis, mayor, and am I giving it to Dan?
A group of us.
Oh, there's a group? Ah.
If I could have our water team stand up here, please. We have we are the water professionals, or at least a sampling thereof, from Oldsmar, and we're honored to accept this proclamation. I'm joined today by Ben Pugh, the distribution and collection supervisor, Thomas Adams, one of our utility maintenance mechanics, Kyle Rasmussen, a water treatment plant operator, recently licensed for his B license in the state of Florida, and Jonna Jan, our utilities administrator and public works assistant director. And I'm Nan Bennett, public works director. We just want to make it clear that together we work around the clock, 365 days a year, to make sure that Oldsmar's water is clean, safe, and flowing. We do this to preserve and protect public health, the environment, and the economy, and our quality of life in Oldsmar. In 2016, the Oldsmar water system produced an average of 1.3 million gallons per day of high-quality water from our reverse osmosis water treatment plant. We serve nearly 15,000 residents. We maintain nearly 100 miles of water pipe and 5,600 service connections. We ran approximately 600 laboratory tests annually to assure that the water quality was always continuous. We do all of this with 7 water treatment plant operators, 10 distribution and collection staff, including our mechanics and meter readers. And we have a passion for water and a vision for the future. We want to voice our appreciation for the city for this proclamation of Drinking Water Week that's going to be celebrated May 7th through 13th, 2017, around the world, or at least around the country, for American Water Works Association. And we thank you for helping us to focus on the value that water provides our community.
Mayor, I think it's only fitting, and I think he won't do it, but I think it's really fitting that Bruce Haddock get out there. He spent over 20 years, and part of that time I was with him.
I agree.
Fighting the water board that finally turned around. You finally turned it around, and you need to get out there with them.
And it's going to be tough. And I don't know what exactly how it's going to work, but it's going to be the Bruce Haddock reverse osmosis water plant. So, oh, it is. It's on the door.
It's not a final yet. We're working on the final product.
Oh, it's just taped up or something?
You need to get up there with the mayor.
Congratulations. And I know you said this, but really it's a great thing that, thanks to Bruce and everybody that but it's great that we do produce our own water right here in the city of Oldsmar.
If it hadn't been for Bruce and a few others, we'd have never gotten it.
Thanks for coming. Should have just taken it down there with me. Next, I'm honored to do this. This is the proclamation for National Day of Prayer, and I'll go ahead and read that. And Barry and Tracy Sullivan are here to accept it. Whereas Americans have turned to Almighty God in prayer since our nation's founding, and whereas throughout the history of our city and nation, we have humbly bowed in prayer for guidance and comfort where needed, and have given thanks for our many blessings which God has graciously bestowed on this nation since its inception. And whereas our nation's motto is, "In God we trust," and we trust He hears us as we pray, and whereas prayer has comforted us in times of sorrow, and given us strength and hope for the future, we ask God to keep His hand upon us and bless the great city of Oldsmar, the state of Florida, in the United States of America. And whereas Scripture tells us again and again that our fervent prayer is effective, that our loving God responds to His children's earnest pleas in mighty ways, and that avail much and ultimately determine the course of history. And whereas the National Day of Prayer is a day set aside by Congress for all Americans to pray and reaffirm the spiritual principles upon which this nation was founded, and whereas this year is the 66th anniversary of the consecutive annual observance of National Day of Prayer, and the theme this year, as observed by the National Day of Prayer Task Force, is, "For your great name's sake, hear us, forgive us, heal us," based upon Daniel 9:19, which says, "O Lord, listen, O Lord, forgive, O Lord, hear and act, for your sake, O my God." And whereas across our nation, on May 4th, Americans will unite at specific times in prayer for our nation, to acknowledge our dependence upon God, to give thanks to Him, to recognize our need for personal and corporate renewal, and to invoke God's blessing upon our leaders and our families. Now, therefore, I, Doug Beavis, Mayor of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, do hereby proclaim May 4th, 2017 as National Day of Prayer in the City of Oldsmar, and invite all residents to pray with diligence, humility, and obedience, and seek the face of Almighty God to direct our paths in the days and years ahead, dated this day, May 2nd, 2017, Doug Beavis, the mayor.
Amen.
How are you guys? Back to you. I'm sure you probably have something.
Yeah, we'd like to invite all the citizens of Oldsmar and the greater Oldsmar community to come out this Thursday, 6 p.m. at City Hall steps. It's going to be the 19th or 20th one that we've been a part of here in the city. And it's just a good time. You know, it's a time for all of us to gather together and put denomination aside and differences aside, and just to cry out to the Lord to bless our nation and bless our city. And we all need it right now in this nation. You know, the division didn't stop after November 11th, so.
Especially with all the things we've got going on in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we appreciate this. And Tracy?
I just want to emphasize it's been 6:30, like for years, but this time it's at 6. So I just want to make sure.
Yep.
You had some good turnouts in the past.
Yeah, we really have. And we'd like to extend an invitation to all of you as well on the council, and to be a part of it with us. Thanks.
Can you find the seal for him?
We had that one up there, or the seal.
In the middle.
In the background.
That's fine.
Since I'm down here, I'll go ahead and do this. It's a great honor to acknowledge one of our council members, all of them, whenever they do things that are great for the city and advance their knowledge of government. And I think we will all agree that when we got into this, and then the things that we find out that go along with it, it's a little bit different. And this has nothing to do with political party, but even Donald Trump thought that it was going to be a lot easier than it is. You should try local government and dealing with fences. So, but I'm honored. Dan, if you want to come on down, this is Vice Mayor Dan Saraki. EMO 3, and I'll let you explain. It's the Leadership Challenge Certificate of Completion, March 10th and 11th, 2017, Florida Cities University, Orlando, awarded to Councilmember Dan Saraki, City of Oldsmar. So congratulations, Vice Mayor. EMO 3, if you could just take a brief second and describe what it is and what the different 1, 2, and 3 and what you've learned.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for the nice little frame, and you do a great job with that. EMO 1 was to learn about the city government, just really how it operates. EMO 2 was more about each individual department, how each department works, finance, the permitting, and how it all comes together. EMO 3 was the leadership challenge, and this one was really unique. It was a weekend here in Tampa. I was very fortunate that it was here. We had mayors, vice mayors, council members from all around the state come to Tampa. And what happened was we had to take this test online. It was about a 40-minute test. It was a two-part. I did it in 20 minutes because it was during the day at work, and I was like, wow, this test is really long. I can't believe how they want us to do all this. And once the test got in, the first thing we did on Friday morning when we got there at 8 o'clock is they gave us our test results. And it was a leadership test result. It told us where our strong points were and where our weak points were in leadership skills. And then what they did was they took those skills and they put us in teams with the people in our class that had the same leadership skills as I had. And when we sat in these groups, we worked on different ideas, situations, problems that would happen in a city, and together as a team we figured out how to solve these issues, and then we had to present our issues and those problem solving to the class. And it was absolutely something that I would treasure for the rest of my life. It was probably one of the best weekends I ever spent. I met so many unique people around the state. I learned so much about leadership skills and how to handle with different council members, with mayors, with our city staff. And it was just a great learning experience, and I'm very proud to be a part of this city, and I'm thankful for Bruce and the city staff for even just letting me go to this class. I was very, very fortunate. And again, thank you.
Are we going to get to find out what your strengths and weaknesses are? Should have done a little research, huh? Hold your plaque. I got to put this behind me because somebody took a picture before and they said it looked like I was holding a Glock when I was holding it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, buddy. Thanks. Pretty cool. And next up is our city attorney, Mr. Trask.
Yeah, I have two annexation ordinances, a sewer use ordinance, and I also want to talk to you tonight about the offer of settlement and the memo that I sent to you earlier in the week. Maybe it was late last week. But let's start out with item number 9. This is the first reading and public hearing of ordinance 2017-06. I'll read that ordinance by title only. Ordinance 2017-06, an ordinance declaring the intention of the city of Oldsmar, Florida, to annex certain real property located in Section 22, Township 28 South, Range 16 East, further described as Lot 7, Block 7, map of Section Number 1, West Oldsmar, parcel number 22, 28, 16, 96660-007-0070, into the corporate limits of the city of Oldsmar and providing for an effective date of this ordinance. That was the first reading of ordinance 2017-06 by title only.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address the council on this? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
One at a time.
You got it. He knows his line. If there's no discussion on this item, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Seidel?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Saraki?
Yes.
Councilmember Beaverland?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Yes.
First reading of ordinance 2017-06, annexing West Oldsmar Lot 7, Block 7, Section 1, Phoenix Avenue, is passed with 4 votes for and 0 against.
Next on your agenda, item number 10 is the first reading and public hearing of ordinance 2017-07. I'll read that by title only. Ordinance 2017-07, an ordinance declaring the intention of the city of Oldsmar, Florida, to annex certain real property located in Section 22, Township 28 South, Range 16 East, further described as Lot 8, Block 18, map of Section Number 1, West Oldsmar, parcel number 22-28-16-96660-018-0080, into the corporate limits of the city of Oldsmar and providing for the effective date of this ordinance. That was the first reading of ordinance 2017-07 by title only.
This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address the council on this item? I think we're about down to almost staff, so seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. I need a motion.
Second?
You guys need to work this out down there a little better.
We're missing Gabby.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this item?
One more time.
Okay, one at a time. Do we know what percent we're at down there by chance, roughly? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but are we halfway yet, you think?
No, I don't think so.
But we will be once we get the new development. That's what, 160?
They're already in the city limits.
Yeah.
Oh, they are, okay, they had to annex in as part of their process, that's right. So, motion and a second, no more discussion. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Saddell?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Zareki?
Yes.
Councilmember Beverland?
Absolutely.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
First reading of ordinance 2017-07, annexing West Oldsmar Lot 8, Block 18, Section 1, 3157 Huron Avenue, is passed with 4 votes for and 0 against.
Item number 11 on the agenda is the first reading and public hearing of ordinance 2017-08 regarding the sewer use ordinance in the city. Ordinance 2017-08, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar, Florida, amending Article 3 of Chapter 70, Utilities of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Oldsmar to adopt recommendations of the Florida Department of Environmental Protection and providing for the effective date of this ordinance. That was the first reading of ordinance 2017-08 by title only. I know Nan Bennett is in the audience. If there are any specific questions, most of the background on this had already been provided to you by the city manager a couple of meetings ago, and the specifics are set forth in the recitals, which are on basically the first page of the ordinance.
Do you have anything additional to add to that, other than what we've heard, or if, no? Can I get a motion, and then if we have any questions, motion?
Motion?
Second?
Second?
Second. Any discussion or questions for staff?
It's something we needed.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's no questions?
Public.
Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. This is a public hearing. Does anybody wish to address the council on this? Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Saddell?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Zareki?
Yes.
Councilmember Beverland?
Yes.
Mayor Beavis?
Aye.
First reading of ordinance 2017-08, updating Chapter 70, Article 3, sewer use to support the city's industrial pretreatment program, fats, oils, and grease, and private lift station inspection programs, and to comply with Florida Administrative Code 62-625.540, is passed with 4 votes for and 0 against.
This will keep us from being fined again.
Yeah.
Next, although it's not on your agenda, I needed to bring it to your attention because of a property being sold. I did receive a offer of settlement on a code enforcement lien. Some of the details are that back in October 2012, the Code Enforcement Board heard a code enforcement case on a violation relative to a leaking roof and damage to soffits on a property located at 720 Shore Drive East. The property was ordered to come into compliance or a fine would be instituted. A fine was in fact instituted of $8,850 plus a $35 administrative fine. Unfortunately, the affidavit of compliance was the only document that was recorded in the public records. The Code Enforcement Board order was not actually recorded, and it's too late to record it now. The original offer that I received was $1,000. I subsequently received a $1,500 offer. And I advised the attorney for the property owner that I could support a $3,500 settlement, and they made that offer at $3,500. I think it's appropriate to settle this lien because of the possibility of an argument that the lien is ineffective because the order was not actually recorded. It was just an affidavit. And so I think it's a good settlement on this case, and it keeps it keeps the closing in play where the property can be sold and the next property owner can move in. The violation obviously was fixed in 2013, so there's no continuing violation. So I'm asking for your authority to accept the $3,500 to settle this $8,850 lien.
Do we need a motion?
Yep.
I make a motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
I would like to know just how much money Tom has collected for us on this stuff. I mean, he has collected a lot of money, and sometimes it would have been hard to collect that money, but Tom, in his magical way, manages to do it.
And we've talked about this before, and you do a great job collecting it, because it's not always that you're successful collecting for whatever the particular reason may be. But, you know, there are expenses incurred by the city. I think a lot of it is probably accumulated interest, I think, and things like that. Or what, is there kind of a breakdown?
About $1,150 in interest that you're basically waiving in addition to the difference in the principal.
Right,
So,
okay.
but, you know, the actual city costs, back in this time frame, I would say the actual city costs were somewhere between $350 and $500 for the code enforcement staff at that particular time. Obviously, there's more value to it now, but back in 2000.
We pay our code enforcement staff, the code enforcement board, a lot more now. We've doubled their zero pay. Motion and a second. No other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Anything else?
That's it.
Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item, approved purchase of additional drum for the biosolids processing system at the water reclamation facility. So I think you're aware that the system for processing biosolids was replaced last year with what, it's a screw press process now. It's been operational since last July. When the project was finished, there was about $77,000 under budget. This whole project was over $1 million, and that's where the money would come from to pay for the additional drum. So it's operating as it was designed. However, the additional drum would give us greater operational flexibility, and I think improve the efficiency of the operation. We estimate, although we haven't had it online for a year, that the savings in transportation cost would be between $30,000 and $40,000 a year, because we're transporting more solids and less
water.
Just water, right? And it would, like I said, also improve the operational flexibility in terms of the hours of operation of that particular unit. It would be a sole source purchase in that it has to fit in with what's already there.
Right.
And the vendor is Process Waters Technologies, LLC, PW Tech. If you have any further questions, I'm probably going to ask Nan or Jonna to answer those.
Oh, I could come up with a
But I
couple.
recommend
doozies.
approval of the purchase.
The short version of this is that this gives us better assurance that when you flush the toilet, that you won't have issues and that it can handle the capacity. Is that?
Well,
And we can process it and
actually what it does, it makes it easier to get the slush away.
the sludge, but I mean, it helps the whole process from start to finish so that we don't have any issues.
Well, the treatment and then the disposal of well, we used to call it sludge.
Right.
Now it's called biosolids.
Sounds much nicer.
Is a very important part
politically
of the whole
correct.
process, and of course
Much better.
is also, as you would expect, there are very specific regulations from the state of Florida on, you know, what you can do with the biosolids once you have processed them.
Mm-hmm.
So is there still $77,000 in the capital budget that's left over from the
Yes.
project? And the cost is estimated around $85,000?
Right.
And we were talking about it today, but the cost, you know, if you have to, something goes down and you wind up not being able to do it and transport more water, and, you know, it's really kind of counterproductive. So I don't know that there's a return on investment, but.
Like a motion, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, I would.
I'd like to make a motion to approve as presented.
I'd like to second.
That'd be great. Perfect. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Mayor, may I make just a short comment on this? You know, I don't know what kind of part I had in the development of the sewer plant when it was built.
I think we're about to find out.
Did they call it sludge
Well,
back then?
you've heard part of it when it was dedicated in 1974, and I was appointed the president of the Northeast Pine Hills County Water Authority that actually oversaw which was a donated time, that actually saw the sewer plant operation to make sure the city that it did operate correctly, which I had to threaten to sue the city a couple of times so they would operate it correctly. And by the time I got burnt out by 1980 and I left, the sewer plant was one of the first AWT plants in America. It was in an incredible plant. And then it was in an incredible position. And then I found out by the time that Bruce ended up coming to the city in '86,
That's right.
the plant was ready to be condemned because of past mayors. And he actually had to bring it back because it was in rough shape. My point is that the plant is special to this city. It is the lifeblood of this city. It is the lifeblood of this city. And it's very special to me because I had something to do with it way back yonder in the olden days, Mayor. So, come this Friday, so much has happened over the years, which is, then this part's my fault. I have fallen out of contact with the sewer plant. I used to be down there all the time. I don't know what a screwdriver is down there. And it was kind of embarrassing. So come Friday, they're going to give me a tour of the sewer plant so I can relearn what it was all about.
That's, yeah, good. It is interesting, you know, I mean, we take it for granted when we turn on, you know, our faucet and water comes out and you flush your toilet, you know, that it goes away. But we heard from the gentleman that was part of the team, what was that, 6 or 8 months ago or whatever it was? So very, very good. So,
And on top of that, Barney Chilton passed away.
oh, did he?
He passed away a week ago, or a week and a half ago, and his wife had called me. In fact, they even invited me to come and speak because they were so impressed. She was so impressed with the city of Oldsmar that we had honored him, 50 years after the fact of what he, actually Barney was really the catalyst that put us on the path to
Yep.
build the plant.
Well, that's a shame. Share our condolences with his family, definitely.
So anyway, Barney passed
I
away.
didn't know that. Great. What next?
Thank you. The next item is consider penny for Pinellas funding allocation for 2020 to 2030. So as you're very aware, there will be a referendum this November on renewing the penny for Pinellas for another 10-year period. It's been in place now since 1990. And tonight, what is before you is an allocation, not of the actual dollars or a specific list of projects. We will be looking at that, I think, as early as the next meeting 2 weeks from now, but more how the money might be allocated among broad categories. And what I've recommended is that 50% for leisure services, 15% for stormwater, 15% for transportation, 15% economic development, and 5% undesignated. And just to share a little bit more of my thinking behind the recommendation, of course, we have a very extensive system of parks and preserves, especially for our city our size. We're looking at further improvements. The council approved an updated master plan for Canal Park, as you're well aware, in February. There are some other... Oldsmar Sports Park.
Thank you.
And
Complex.
Sports complex.
some other
Complex.
projects over this period that we're looking at from 2020 to 2030 very likely would, I think, include a new community center. And then in these other areas, stormwater, as you're aware, we're updating the stormwater master plan or the watershed management plan, and I'm sure that that will provide some recommendations as to further improvements to the stormwater system. But also, of course, we do have a stormwater utility. All of our customers pay a monthly stormwater fee, so we have an identified source of revenue that I think should be used for the major cost associated with stormwater. Transportation, that remains to be seen. It might not be necessarily a road or street. It could be parking garage. It could be alternative transportation modes, bicycle, pedestrian overpass.
Camping?
I'm not sure that's transportation. That would be leisure services in my mind. But anyway, economic development would probably, I think, be more related to land acquisition, perhaps. So anyway, while we are putting together a program, and that'll be shared with the voters, of course, if you go out to 2030, that's 13 years away. So it may not turn out exactly the way we forecast. Y'all are aware that changes are made. In fact,
We've made changes to the
already this
existing.
year, one other change was made to the plan that was adopted in 2006. So that's certainly the council's prerogative, but we, of course, want to encourage people to vote in the election and the referendum in November, and we'll be talking more about what has been accomplished in the past and what our plans are for the future. But tonight I'm looking for your feedback or concurrence with the allocation among these categories.
You have to have a motion on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to make a motion, and then I just wanted
I'll
to.
make a motion on that. I also want to comment.
Well, can I get a second first before you
Second.
comment?
Sure.
Motion and a second.
One of y'all second that.
You did.
In 1990, when this started, the city of Oldsmar was one of the first and only cities that actually categoried what we were going to use the money. 7 miles of dirt streets out here was paid by it in the city of Oldsmar. We actually categoried, or he did, we didn't. I mean, I was on the council, but I really didn't know what was going on at the time. But he actually categoried what the money was made was going to be used for. Now, you can't give me a correct answer. But Pinellas County got kind of upset over the years. Many of the cities did not do that. They did not categorize what they were going to use the money for. And it got in, at the next election, it got in the election cycle that that some of the cities didn't know what they were using the money for.
Mm-hmm.
We did. We were one of the first ones that actually did, and we were used for that during the campaign or the pre-campaign that started like 2 years or 3 years before it was actually voted on. And I think that's very important on his part, that now the cities, in fact, it's in all the books now, be sure you tell everybody what you're going to use the money for, because a lot of the people didn't believe the money was being used right.
More importantly, and they've got a great website that does this, not only do you tell them what you're going to use it for, you tell them what we have used it for, because I don't think a lot of the people realize, for instance, this building that we're sitting in right here.
Actually,
and I mean, I think that really is the more telling story, is what successful projects and great things.
You're absolutely right.
That what we have done with it, so they know when they go into this particular library, or they go into this building, or they drive on this road, or they go to this park, you know, that's where the money is. Because a lot of the things we do in government, you don't really see. A lot of them are underground. You don't really get a touchy-feely thing for them. So I think this is great, and just, you know, as Bruce mentioned, you know, we're not locked to any of these. I know you know that, but for the public, we're not locked to these percentages or even the projects. As you indicated, we changed one from the community center to Canal Park. We moved $2 million. Is that what it was? Was it two?
It was.
$2 million. So, you know, you're not locked to this, and we're not locking or handcuffing future councils, because the only one probably that will still be on council at that time will be Jerry.
Jerry, tell him, Andy.
He'll still be here. We will have moved on. Nudge, wink, wink. Can we move on?
Whatever. But Oldsmar was actually an example because we categoried everything.
Yeah, and that's great. So you'll come back with projects, and we'll submit it, and all the other municipalities are doing the same thing. And they're doing a great job. Like I said, that website is great for you know, voters to go out and do the research and see
And it
what
has done a
projects.
tremendous amount of benefit to this city. It really has.
Yeah, no, it's great. And the best part about that penny is so much of it comes from, the tourist dollars, so it's really not even coming out, I
Yeah,
forget the
they say like
percent.
a third of the money that comes in is paid by tourists.
Well,
By tourists, so.
even that, now, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to, a lot of the money we get comes from other comes from South County.
At South County Place.
South County.
Devils down there.
Way to go, they're gonna visit it now. I love when he says, I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. I don't even know why you preface it, but you're going to. Anything else?
That's it. Did y'all vote on that?
Oh, motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Yes.
I get distracted by his stories down there.
That was all I had this evening.
Thank you. City Clerk, do you have anything?
I don't have anything.
Thank you. City Council, next is to schedule the work session to review capital projects programs for fiscal year 2017 and 18 through 2022-23. I think the dates, have you reviewed the dates?
The recommended date
Yep.
is Thursday, May 25th at 4 PM. The alternate date would also be 4 PM on Wednesday, June 14th. So the recommended date would be Thursday, May 25th, 4 PM.
May 25th, I'm good. And what was the other one? I got my calendar open now.
Wednesday, June 14th.
June 14th.
Mayor, I looked at both dates and I'm okay.
I'm better on the first date. I don't know that it would be, what time did you say?
Either
4?
one.
4 PM, although we could probably move that if we needed to.
I just have forward Pinellas, and I don't really know. It should be done by then. I mean, I'm fine with that, if I need to leave. So whichever day works good for me. I'd rather do it, I guess, on the 14th, because I've got something, but that's selfish, but whatever works for you guys.
14th of what?
14th, I land at 11 a.m., so as long as it's in the afternoon,
It's
I'm
at
fine.
4.
It's at 4, I'm fine.
As long as you don't do something to get pulled off the plane.
Yeah.
Right, like Eric.
Eric
Like
didn't
some
get,
council
It was
members.
not my fault.
Eric didn't give up his seat.
It wasn't my fault.
I know, but you were sitting in the pilot seat. It's rather unfortunate. Any preference?
That works for me, the 14th's fine.
To be honest with you, we probably got to see what works with Gabby too. So she's typically the one that's all over the place. I'm good with both dates, so,
Just put it on the 14th and have it.
well, just, if everybody good with both dates?
Yep, I'm okay with both.
Can we just then confirm with
20th is a
Gabby and see
Thursday.
which one's hers? Because we're fine with either date, so. Unless she would rather just pick one.
Why don't you just pick one, and
Yeah.
Okay,
if we have to move it, we'll be back.
Let's go with
to
the
let you know.
14th.
that's fine.
Okay.
I already typed it into my phone. And
Oh, you did? Oh, so, well, that takes priority then.
Okay. Wednesday, June 14th, 4 PM.
Done, so be it. Did you tag us all in the thing?
Nope. By yourself.
All right, next, oh boy, comments by council members. I'll start with you, Jerry.
Oh, me? Oh,
You're
thank
you're the
you,
only
sir.
Jerry up here.
Okay, thank you. I have, I've talked about most of the things. I would like to invite Jack LaBalla to come and talk to us.
I agree. Is there a way we can do that and maybe move him towards the front, if he can even come?
Sure.
And move that agenda item towards the,
Like, we need to talk about that.
I'd like to hear his input on it and his thoughts.
Maybe also give us kind of an update on how the session
The
went.
session went. Yeah.
I have heard the mayor talk about this, and I'm going to back him up on it. I know I have heard you speak about bringing somebody from the county or somebody to talk about our bay out here and the possibility of what it would take to
Reestablish the canal?
yeah, the canals and all. And I think, and I agree that this should be done. And I would like to have the mayor contact someone from the county, that particular department, come and speak to us.
Yeah, I've reached out to it. What I think I may do initially is try and set up a meeting with them to discuss what we'd like to do, and then maybe have them come.
Have them come here so the people would know how you do it, if you can do it, and the possibilities of doing it, because everything has changed since, because the county wanted this to be a
Marina.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, and everything fell apart with the,
Okay.
all the money fell apart all over the United
We
States.
can, I think we can do that. Do you have any knowledge of what Tarpon, because Tarpon Springs is actually in the middle of doing, I mean, they've already got the process going, and I don't know if they've started dredging, but they are. It's a similar process that I think we would go through.
Well, whoever it is, have them come to
But they're
this.
doing it through the county as well, I think, aren't they? I know we talked about it, I think, at our last mayor-manager meeting. I thought it was, or maybe it was one prior. I've already reached out to Dave Eggers
It
once.
requires permitting through Pinellas County.
Does the Army Corps get involved?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
And,
Well, get somebody, but
It's a bigger issue for us because of the way that the dam is. And they put the dam there, and then when they built Cordy Campbell and the ability for the sediment to.
That's it. I think what you're talking about is a little bit different.
But no, I think it impacts when they
it
dredge.
does
It does.
impact, but it's different than what we can do because
we
we've already had some dredging here in the city of Oldsmar by
How
individuals.
long ago did they dredge in here last, do you know?
It's,
Oh, God.
it's been quite some time.
Long before my
Read his
time.
book. Read his
What?
book.
Long before my time.
How, they did with
Just to
buckets?
keep it,
Okay,
just to,
it was dredged in the 40s.
okay.
Sellers had his part dredged in the 40s.
Last time.
Okay, so I think I'll reach out. I've already reached out to Dave Eggers before. They've looked at it and said that we can do it under the context of maintenance, so that's not an issue. We just got to figure out the assembling the pieces. To that point, I don't mean to, I'll give you back your time, but do we know Holly Greening, has that gone anywhere next? Which is, to your point, that's about the top of the bay with all the sediment and everything, but since you brought that up,
I haven't heard anything about that in
quite some time.
well over a year, maybe 2 years.
Is it worth reaching out to see where that is? I mean, I was afraid we might get to this, that we'll look at it and look at it and look at it and look at it and look at it, and then it goes on a shelf, so.
Well, we'll be better off to have them tell us how we can dredge before you get an answer from that, because we've been asking.
Oh,
that.
they're two completely different,
Yeah,
two
we've been
completely
asking
different
that for
topics.
years,
but-
and they
but
always come back with the same thing.
Since he brought it up, but,
Yeah, I'll check with
and
them.
just see if there's any news, and then you could let us know.
Okay.
What else you got? That's it?
No, that's not it. I know Bruce and I have talked about this, and we had cars and large pickup trucks back in the park over the weekend.
I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that's on my list.
What?
They
Okay.
pull into the park,
Which park? We've got a ton of them.
Ariel's Park.
REO's Park.
I saw that.
So what's going on?
There's vehicles that they're not in the parking lot, they're just driving around in the west end. That would be down between
by the-
Federal
Up
Street
into
and
the
Oakwood.
The
cabana.
dog park,
Down by the volleyball courts and all that back in there?
further,
Even
further that-
further west.
It would be between Federal, where the
Yeah.
inlet is, and Oakwood.
Okay, all right.
Okay, that, and on,
During the day, in the evening, what are they doing?
all day long,
Weekends.
weekends.
What are they doing?
They're partying.
Okay. Did we know that? Is anybody? Okay, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, but it's during the
They've been
day,
there.
right?
Well, they've been
You
down,
can't pull into or drive in our
I think what they're
park.
doing, I think it's people who are using, I don't know whether they've rented it or not, the cabanas.
yeah, that's what it is.
Car right up in
That-
there.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
what it is.
I saw it.
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't, okay.
And on Buckingham, there's a lot of, if you want a lot of bamboo, there's bamboo all over the side of the road. Somebody needs to pick it up. Okay, now, this is the last thing. There's a possibility. Oh, all right, be nice. There's a possibility we may be able, I don't know how it's turning out. We might be able to purchase the vacant land on Oakwood.
Just for those, we made an attempt, a couple of years ago, Shore and Oakwood, the property that was there, and the person that bought it to do something with it, and shortly after they purchased it,
On Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving Day.
yeah, the gentleman died, and so it's just kind of sat there dormant, but it has resurrected it itself, and I know we talked about it, either I did with you or at council, we talked about it a couple of months ago, seeing if it's worth revisiting maybe when we met.
If it falls through, I guess he has about 25 more days or something. If it falls through, we're in second place.
Well, we're not in second place yet. How tough is it for us to get a backup offer in to them? Do we have to go through a process?
No, it's not that hard.
They are waiting for us
Well,
to place ourselves in second place.
we thought that initially too, but apparently they went ahead and,
Well,
took an offer.
After he died and everything.
no, I'm talking about now, but they went ahead and took an offer, but there is a due diligence phase, so.
They have a current offer on the product.
I guess the question is, do you need some direction from us? I know we did this before on when it went up for, did it go up for auction, I think?
It did,
It did.
yes.
Do you need a dollar amount from us to make an offer, or do you?
No,
Okay.
My suggestion is you not do that in the public right
Okay, no,
now.
I understand. No, but I'm just saying, well, we did that in the public last time, but,
Well,
and we went through an appraisal, but,
he would prepare, we'd have the contract prepared based upon what his best offer would be in his mind.
I'm fine with
And
that.
he would come back here contingent upon, it would be contingent upon council approval.
so I guess, can I ask this? Do we need a consensus of the council to give him authorization to do that? I mean,
The contract doesn't really mean anything unless it's approved by you in the long run.
but I mean, do we, in
No, I
general?
don't think you need to do that.
Well, you could ask if anyone would object to us pursuing the purchase of the
I
property.
guess that's my point, that we have a consensus to even move it forward. I
Do
do.
we know what the current offer on the property is?
Yes,
I think, is it 640 something?
it's over 6.
Yeah.
In bid,
675.
would you bid 500 last time? I don't remember.
Yeah, let's not get into dollar amounts.
480.
Let's not get into dollar amounts, but,
Okay.
but in general is
Yeah, there's consensus.
I think I would be for
consensus,
the
to
buy
at
that
least,
piece of property.
and it only puts us in a second position, so
Yeah,
I'd rather have it than not.
Yes.
Right.
So, okay, you have a consensus, is that good?
If it falls through,
Yeah, but if we don't have it in there,
that's right.
We can do something.
And with that, Mayor, we can almost be out of here.
we could have been out of here 45 minutes ago.
Well, usually I try to blame it on you, but you can blame it on me
Oh,
tonight.
I think we can blame the last 3 or 4 meetings on you.
Oh,
Oh, see, what did I tell you?
I'm sorry.
One last thing, and that's when Eileen and I said, we've heard that before.
I have the first brochure, however you pronounce that word, on the city of Oldsmar, 1917.
You got the certificate of authenticity?
No, I don't have to. I got proof right here.
You were the mayor.
1917, I always thought the bank building was the first, but it wasn't the first building built.
You were wrong?
And it's in my book. The Wayside Inn was built first in 1917, and then the bank building was built in 1918. And here's a picture of the Wayside Inn, and the bank building is not there.
You gonna revise your book? You gonna revise your book?
I'm not writing any more books on this stuff. I told him, I said, I should have started writing the books now, because when I started writing the book, I didn't know anything after everything came out. But this is
Jerry, where'd you get that from? Just curious.
I bought it on the internet.
Very good.
They wanted $100 for it. Well, I don't have $100, so I took some pictures of it off the internet, and they came out pretty nice. But anyway,
I don't know that I'd incriminate myself in public.
look, I
I'm
don't
sure
care.
the copyright is long ran out.
It's
We're
the
good.
city of Oldsmar. They want to put me in jail. Go ahead. Then after about 4 months, it came down to $50. I can't afford $50 anymore. I'm an old guy.
Oh, you are?
So I made an offer. I
There goes
said,
Spot.
how about $25?
Did you take it?
I own it.
There you go.
I told him, I said, you're your own worst enemy. They know that you're the guy that's buying all this stuff, so you just drive your own prices up.
There's photos in here.
And what are you doing with it? What are you gonna do with it?
I'm going to sell it to the city.
For $50.
$50.
We'll give it to the Historical Society.
Already on?
The Historical Society will buy it from you.
Already
Thank you.
on?
No, we will.
Can we move on?
I have never sold anything without, here's something that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
And that was revised later. There's a picture, Gabby would just love this,
Of all the old houses.
the old houses. And there was something here that I had never seen before. See, in 1917, this was just a walkway, and they built it later for cars.
Of course, we have no idea what you're
It's
pointing
a
at.
pier.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, the pier. I had never seen the old wooden water tower. That was where the funeral home is today. This is the first picture I've ever seen where it shows you the old water tower. Anyway, if you all want to look at this, do it quick because we're going to go home.
Oh, we are? Is that the last thing?
I apologize, yes.
Okay, last item. Councilmember Seidel.
So let me just go through my list, Mr. Mayor. I've only got a few things for us tonight.
What are you gonna tell us about?
I'll have one thing. As we all know, what's been going on up in the legislature, specifically as it relates to the, I didn't hear the very last thing today, but as it relates to the additional homestead exemption. I was curious.
Made it through the House, but they were trying to get the Senate to kill it, I think, right?
Well, it's going back to the Senate.
Oh, it
I
is?
think there was a
Yeah.
compromise within
Right.
the budget committee between the two bodies, which would lead me to believe it's probably going to get through the Senate, would be my guess.
That's painful.
Well, it passed the Senate today.
Yeah, you know, the only one who did not vote for it in the Republican Party in the Senate? Jack. Good for him. But it did get me thinking, and I'm surprised, I would be surprised if our city manager has not already started to contemplate this. I would be curious to find out what we think the economic impact would be to us.
I thought I read the Pinellas County was like $30 million, or was it 30
Pinellas
million?
County, it was quite a bit.
Was it 30
I was
million?
curious about us.
Does that sound
I
right?
think that sounds right, yes.
But is
I
that
haven't done
something,
that,
is
no.
that something that maybe you and,
I guess it would be interesting to know, although the referendum is
A long ways
until
off.
November of
Yeah,
18.
still got to be a referendum.
long way off, long way off, but it would be good to know, especially when we're talking to our citizens about it.
But
And, you know, I mean, the reality of it is, now, if you really sit back and think about it, so there will be some lessening of the impact, because presumably, during that same period of time, property values will continue to go up. I don't think the offset's going to be that great.
And I don't know that it's so much that as much as it is with Cochran trying to, again, continue to strip away. He doesn't trust local government, you know, he doesn't trust anything,
I'll tell you what,
and trying to take power away from, you know, whether it's,
yeah, we talked about it at the
rule.
last meeting. You know, I won't go on and on about it, but I could. It's just amazing to me what disregard there has been for the citizens of the state who choose to live in a city, because that's what they want. And they want their local city council accountable to the extent they can be.
and they
And
continue to
it's
just, they're shredding it.
It's unbelievable.
I think I mentioned at the last meeting, it's the worst that it's ever been in Tallahassee, so, anyway, go ahead.
Anyhow, that's all I got. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I only have a couple things. Just to add on to that, just real quick, is what's disturbing about the whole process is we went to the luncheon at the Suncoast League of Cities last week, and we took a vote of who we should invite to the dinner, the awards dinner, the Senate and the state representatives, who we should invite. And we had a fight of who to invite because of what's going on in Tallahassee. We didn't know who to invite. We were going to invite Kathleen Peters, that got thrown out. The only person that's getting invited is Jack. So I just wanted to bring that up.
That's all you need. That's right.
There you go. The other thing I want to talk about, Mayor, is the raise. I really never got to get my voice in there because the council has been talking about it. Eric's got some views. I just want to say this. Number one, you've done an amazing job in putting the city of Oldsmar on the map. Everywhere I go, every meeting I go, they talk about you, Doug, and the race. Great job.
The city of Oldsmar.
City of Oldsmar, but you're the voice. You're the voice of why they're even considering us. Great job. Two, if the Rays met with Bruce and you, and they had a meeting with you, and they talked about our options of coming here, I don't think they'd waste our time. I really feel that they would not waste our time if they feel that the city of Oldsmar could actually eventually come here. Even though what's going around in our environment and the changes, I don't think that they would waste our time. And then number three, I think we should stay the course and just wait to see what happens. I don't think we should give up. I think we should just
I mean,
do our best.
and I agree. I mean, I think, you know, as I mentioned at the last one, Bruce and I talked about it, is, you know, kind of just put the car in neutral, not really expend a ton of effort unless they come to us. But, you know, as of the January meeting, kind of the third week in January when we met, they exactly said that, is that they wouldn't waste our time. there's they push their own time clock back, but, I don't know that we expend any more effort,
Right.
on trying to task that, and that was my point.
And that's
task
what I was
force
going to end with. I don't think we should, waste any more time. I think we should just hang in
Move
there
on,
and
but-
just move on, let it
I
sit.
thought we pretty well came to a consensus on that.
Right.
Just put the car in neutral and let it go its course, and,
I'd push it right down the hill, though, but that's just me.
There you go.
I'm not going to stop them from talking to us if they want to come and talk to us,
Of course not.
but we got other things to move on to, but
And then the last thing I want to just say is the emo 1, the emo 2, and the emo 3, council members, if you guys can go that, except for Jerry, because he knows everything and he doesn't need to go. But I'm just saying, it was really a great program that the Florida League of Cities puts on. It's helped me immensely, and I just wanted to share that I would recommend that for anybody to go. And that's it. That's all I got.
I don't really have a whole lot. I was going to give a couple history lessons on Beavis and where the name originated from and all the history of that.
It was that cartoon, right?
Yep, no. That one's got an A in it, but I'm excited tomorrow. It is the 40th anniversary of the Mayor's Council. I hope you're joining us tomorrow. I'm looking forward to it. The interesting part is we have 5, but 1, 2, 3 are going. One isn't able to attend, and then Mayor Provenzano is in D.C., and then Jerry is going, and Jim Roniker is going, and what's the third one? What's his name? Jeff Sandler. Jeff Sandler is going. So it's exciting, and I think I mentioned it at the last one that, because we have term limits, we do have several, mayors that are still, actively involved. But then I think there are some municipalities that don't have term limits, and they've been mayors forever, haven't they? I don't know which ones have them, but, so they will, it'll be interesting to see.
I understand Bill from Pinehurst Park, I think he was mayor about 48 years.
I was with him at Bright House Field for a game, and he talked about you, so I won't share the stories that he told me about you, but, so at any rate, if you could sit off way to the end with whoever you're going to be with, so you can just kind of chit-chat and...
I'm not going to say a word because you insulted me.
Can we get you to draft something up real quick and get him to sign it, enforceable? Can you enforce that, Sheriff's Department? I think you can. Yes, you can. Anything else? Bruce, you got anything? Tom?
I'm done.
No, thank you.
Not going to ask you, not even looking down to the right. Need a, if it doesn't, here's now, I was going to get a motion. Meeting adjourned.